Hey you, if you clicked on this video, it probably means that you're looking to upgrade your opening repertoire as a chess player. This opening that I'm going to be showing you here today single-handedly carried me from 1000 ELO to 1500 ELO early in my chess career. I am currently a 1900 ELO chess player, and if you know me, I absolutely despise d4. But back in the day, that was a big game changer in leveling up my chess at a much faster pace. I'm going to be showing you the entire opening repertoire for the Queen's Gambit, and then I'm going to be playing 2 blitz games to see if I can properly play this opening and win some games for all of you to watch. Do not go anywhere, y'all. Go ahead and grab your notepad, sit back, relax, and let's get right into that opening repertoire for the Queen's Gambit. Alrighty, so today I'm going to be showing you 3 different ways the Queen's Gambit can go to better prepare you as you progress as a chess player. The Queen's Gambit has been so incredibly powerful to so many different people. Like I said in the intro, I personally played this opening until about 1500 ELO roughly, and on top of that too, the Queen's Gambit Netflix show, phenomenal, flawless. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. This is actually what inspired a lot of people to start playing the Queen's Gambit, if I'm being completely honest. But I highly recommend you give this opening a try after I show you exactly where this can go. But with all that being said, the Queen's Gambit opens up with the move d4. Your opponent will play d5, and you will respond with c4. This is your basic Queen's Gambit setup, and that's going to take us to the first line that we are going to explore. If your opponent ever takes this pawn, this is considered the Queen's Gambit accepted. Anytime you see that move as well, you will always play the move e4. What this move does is it frees your bishop to attack the pawn. It also takes control of a lot of different squares, which is very powerful early on in the game. I always preach to my beginners and everyone in general, your goal of the early on in the game is to control those 4 center squares and also get your pieces into the game as quickly as you possibly can. That is the main structure and setup for the Queen's Gambit accepted. And we're going to explore a couple lines here. Let's say they ever move their knight here. Some people might disagree with me, but anytime you see knight c6, I am perfectly fine with the move d5. After you play d5, your opponent will play e5, and then you would respond with knight f3. They would usually take. You would take back with the queen. And let's say they just develop like normal. Like if they do go here, this is actually pretty bad, I believe, because you just take on c4. If your opponent plays e6, you take. Bishop would take. You take. And this is a pretty wonky setup. And white has a lot of opportunities to capitalize and take advantage and exploit black in this spot. But that is if they play knight c6. So let's say they play knight to f6. You always will push this pawn forward as well. If they ever play a move like d5, which is 9 times out of 10 what they will do. By the way, if they ever go knight fg7, this is extremely passive too. You are honestly just genuinely just chilling. You're big chilling. Get that pawn right back, and you just continue your development. Everything stays the exact same. And let's say just to explore it real quick, they also can't go here or here because the queen's covering. If they go back, even better for you. He literally just brought a knight out and then undeveloped it again. I've actually seen this happen before. And then you would just keep playing chess. If they go here, you probably want to push this pawn now because then the knight would just take. I believe you just keep playing. Nope, you would probably play knight f3 first to cover this pawn because the knight and the queen are glaring. Now, let's say your opponent plays something like b5. If you ever see b5, your only response you will ever play for your entire life, the remainder of your life, forever, until you become a grandmaster, obviously, after watching this video, is play a4. What this move does is it attacks the pawn. If your opponent ever takes the pawn, you will take with the queen, with check, and attack this. And you have an extremely active queen. If they block with the bishop, you just take this pawn. Big chillin'. Now, if they play a move like this is even better for you. Trying to defend the pawn, you just take. If they take back, they're going to lose the rook. And if they play a move like they can't play a move like that either, because you would just take. Oops. Yeah, the pawn can move like that, by the way. Or actually, I don't even think you need to take. I think you can just take here. Yeah. And if they take, you take. And if they take back, you get the rook. So there's a lot of different complicated ways that this can go whenever you get into this spot right here. If they ever play a move like this, you will usually, this move or this move, you will always take right back. We just talked about this. Play a move like that, same thing. Oops, not there, here. Knight c3, basic development. Oops, basic development, attacking the pawn now. If they ever push here, I believe you're still doing just fine. You just go b5. And if they try to attack you, rook takes on a6 here. And then you have queen a4. Discover check. So pretty cool how complicated the position will get if they ever play this move. But just to reiterate real quick with the Queen's Gambit accepted. It starts with d4, d5, c4. If the opponent ever takes, this is the Queen's Gambit accepted starting. You would push here, attack here. Attack here. There are lines here too where you could play here and then have a line to that pawn still. But in this opening repertoire, I highly recommend you play e4 instead. It is a much more potent opening in terms of controlling space, like I just mentioned. But if your opponent ever plays here, you will always push. If they ever play here, you are chilling because of bishop takes on c4, and vice versa. If they ever go here, you push here, and if they ever go here, you are still big chilling because you can just play knight f3. They will usually take, and your pawns are very, very strong. This pawn's going to be captured again, and also if they play this move now, you still play a4. Exact same reason. If they take, you would take on c4 first, and you would basically, in a moment, have a v line here to the king. If they play e6, you can just castle, so they take, and now you're threatening everything. This is checkmate, by the way. But yeah, and then if they don't do that, and they play here, same thing. If they take, you take with the queen with check. If they play here, you take the pawn, and you have a v line to the rook, and if they go here, you still take. And you're just big chilling, bro. Big chilling. Very solid opening. If you ever see takes on the Queen's Gambit, you are loving life. Now let's say they don't take. This is the second line that I'm going to be showing you here with the Queen's Gambit. This is called the Queen's Gambit declined whenever they push the pawn to e6. This is a much more passive variation of the Queen's Gambit, but everything still remains the exact same in terms of principles. You are okay with developing the knights to c3 or f3. Say c3, usually your opponent will go b4 if you do play that, pinning your knight to the king, and you're not even really worried about that knight because it's covered by the pawn. And I believe you can now take and then take. And let's say you move the knight here, knight f6. Me personally, I like a move like h3 personally to stop the bishop from getting here. Just like I doesn't like that move very much, but just a waiting move. And genuinely, you probably just play bishop g5 too. Bishop g5 seems reasonable, and then, like I said, if they take ever, you just take right back with the pawn, and now you have a clear-cut line on this file here with the, or I should say this diagonal with the queen, and life is good in the white position. So that is the fundamental structure with the declined. Now, I believe I started with c3. Let's say you go knight f3 instead. If your opponent takes, you just do the exact same thing. Now you're in a Queen's Gambit accepted. Same thing, push, and so they go here, and you just still take, because the knight's not covering with the queen. Big chillin'. Big bro. But yeah, and then those are the top moves. So let's say you do take, yeah, e3. Actually, no. Also, important. Do not push this pawn before you develop your bishop. Very, very important. If you push this pawn, your bishop's blocked, and you're gonna have to like go on an adventure and waste like 12 moves. Always develop your bishop first before pushing this pawn. That is honestly principle for like most opening repertoires before pushing like the E or the D pawn. But just note that. And then like here, big chillin', bishop d6. Say you go like bishop d3, move the knight here, bishop goes here. You're chilling. You have more opportunities to win than black does. So yeah, that is the declined. One final review, d4, d5. The Queen's Gambit decline starts with the move e6. And anytime you see e6, you are just playing your principal chess. Here, they take, you take with the bishop. If they don't take in the castle, you could probably just slide your bishop up to e2 or d3, I believe is fine. D3 is better because you control more squares. And then same thing, if they take, and yeah, here. And that is your basic opening repertoire for the Queen's Gambit declined. Now, I'm going to show you the Slav Defense. The Slav Defense is when your opponent goes on the other side of the board covering this pawn. Still leads to a lot of complicated play, and a lot of different things can transpire from the Slav Defense, but everything remains the exact same. Knight f3. See, if they go, like, it says e6 is a top engine move, but honestly, I feel like moving the bishop out first is a little bit better. Apparently not, because you have b3. Attacking this pawn. But it says I wanted to play here. Play passive, block the bishop in. And then you just keep playing chess, you know? Knight f6, knight f3, knight f6, bishop g5. Remember, you don't push this pawn forward before getting the bishop out. Same thing with the Slav. If d takes e4, or excuse me, if d takes c4, probably move like g3. If takes, queen takes on b3. And you're wreaking absolute havoc on the position right now. You have a lot more activity in your pieces than black does, although it says black is a little bit better here. Let's say d5 seems like a reasonable move. If takes, c takes, rook b1, the bishop slides down, you get this pawn, and then if they develop here, which is a top engine move. Let's say you go here, queen e5 check. Yeah, and then this gets very dicey really fast, but this right here is essentially your main setup right here. But usually they probably won't play this because your opponent will likely be scared to block the bishop in for reasons I just explained. Knight f6, knight f3, g6. That's not g6, this is g6. I'm blind. Queen b3, same thing here, here. If takes, takes. And this is actually pretty bad for black in this spot. Knight e5, now an option. And yeah, that is your essential basic setup for the Slav defense. Basics remain the same. Oops, not there. Push, and eventually castle. And that's a fundamental principle of playing the Slav defense variation, stemming from the queen's gambit position. So guys, with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and play 2 blitz games for y'all, and we're going to see if I can win with the queen's gambit, going into the queen's gambit declined, or the queen's gambit accepted, depending on what my opponent plays. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into that first game. All right, so we are going to go ahead and jump into our first game here against my Discord mod LG. The queen's gambit, like we just studied, opens up with d4. I'm going to play c4, and LG has specific instructions to take this pawn on the first game. So after he takes, we are going to push here, like we just studied, big, giant, white center here. And now my bishop is attacking here. He can play, if he plays a move like this, we will play a4. And he does play the top engine move here, which is pushing the pawn forward. Now, the top engine move is to play knight f3. Develop like normal. Play basic principle chess. If he brings his bishop out here, obviously we just develop here with a knight. We're okay with him taking. And I know we looked at it, and I believe this is the incorrect move. I'm going to go c4, take this pawn first here. This pawn looks a little goofy right now, but bear with me. It should all hopefully make sense here momentarily. LG does a good job of defending that piece. Let's see, if takes, takes. There's absolute air there. I'm going to go ahead and castle. Play some pretty basic chess. Principles, always to and fro. I'm going to push this pawn now. And if he takes me here, I'm going to take back. He does not. He does a good job of keeping the pressure on while sliding that bishop back. So I'm going to slide over here, or I should say slide up here. And if he brings his bishop up here, it's going to be pinning my pawn to my queen, so that's going to be a little tricky. A quick move like knight e5 should be able to negate that. I can take, and then I'm also threatening this with all this pressure coming down here. And life is good. Life is very, very good. Now, he's trying to castle. So I am going to go ahead. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe a move like... that blocks a knight's development. And now I'm frozen. I'm going to go here. He's probably going to castle now. No, he brings the knight out too. Very fascinating, Sir LG. I'm going to go here. This puts pressure on the bishop and the pawn. I will now be able to take with one of these pieces. Generally speaking, I probably could take with this knight and then play something like this. Okay, so he goes there. I'm still okay with taking here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I'm gonna win a piece. And if he castles this way, I have a lot of firepower coming down here. See, I should have taken with that knight. That was my problem there. Should have taken with that knight, but you know, we're gonna figure out a way to get LG here. All right, so he goes there. When you are in a spot like this too, with like pawns being cooked, I usually would probably try and slide my king over here and try and get the rook in here. I'm actually going to do something like this instead and try and get the bishop in. We gotta be very, very careful though, because anytime this knight moves, the queen's gonna be coming in here. Oops, coming in here with check. So we gotta be aware of that. So let's go ahead and threaten the checkmate. I imagine he'll play a move like here. Oh no, he moved that to attack the queen. LOL. So good job by LG getting the pieces off the board there. Now I am just probably going to. I could take here and isolate his pawn, but I'd honestly rather keep pressure on the position. So I'm gonna go here, and his knight's kind of immobilized, low key, because the bishop's covering all those squares. Yes, if he goes here, his pawn can take, but if he does go there, takes, like his pawns are gonna be pretty out of place and just looking quite goofy, if I am to be honest. But yeah, my next plan moving forward here too would probably be to play something similar to this, because now he doesn't have any like diagonal striking pieces like the queen or bishops coming in here to attack, so I'm probably just a-okay in that regard. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and take, and then after he takes with the pawn, I'm gonna pin his knight to his rook. If his rook takes here, I don't care. I probably don't really like that too much though. TBH. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play here. I'm gonna play here and then try and play here. LG done a very, very good job, if I'm being honest. Now let's go here, attack the rook. The rook comes over here with check. I think I'm okay with just going here and then here. Yeah, because the knight can't check, so the pawn would take. And I want to get my rook in here. The reason why I went this way too is because if I do go this way, okay, so he pushes the pawn. Slide down. Because if I went this way, I wouldn't be covering this pawn anymore. So he's attacking my bishop now. I'm going to bring the bishop all the way back. Just play something quick and easy. So my bishop was under attack. Pushes the pawn. I'm going to go here. If he takes, I'm going to pre-move. Now pressure's coming on this pawn. See if LG sees it. He does not. And now, ladies and gentlemen, this might be done said match. Because I have a good old-fashioned skewer. I think this is actually just a forced mate. Yeah. Because when he brings his rook down, I'm just going to take, and that's going to be checkmate. Cool. Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into the next game. All right. So now for game 2. Mr. LG has instructions to play the Queen's Gambit declined. So we're going to play c4, and he's going to play here. Now, I'll say if he plays the Slav too, I'm honestly okay with that. And he plays the Queen's Gambit declined. And like I said, although this opening gets very passive fast, you still remember all your basics. Everything stays extremely and utterly fundamentally the exact same. So we develop the knight here to c3. And I'm going to bring the bishop out here now. You can go here or here if I'm not mistaken. I think that's okay to go either way, but I'm going to go here. And then push this bishop, or push that pawn forward, and then just continue developing. So I'm going to push that pawn forward now. Now the bishop's covering this pawn. I'm going to develop the knight after this. Takes. And shout out to LG for doing this too. I initially was trying to play against a random, but nobody was playing the Queen's Gambit line that I needed them to play, so it was quite unfortunate. All right, so we could develop the knight here. Then I can get in here, but honestly, we're not too worried about that. I am going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Free my king up to castle, and that's what we're going to do. Roger. And so the knight comes in here now, And honestly, so this move is kind of bad for LG for a couple reasons. One being that it low-key loses a tempo, because after I push this pawn, this knight's forced to retreat now. If the knight goes this way, that's probably bad, because then I'm going to open up that structure. Ooh, LG going for something quite diabolical, I must say. Wow, okay. This is interesting. Yeah, so let's take with the knight. He's going to take back with his knight. Ooh. He takes with that knight. LG actually out here putting on a bit of a clinic here, huh? We're up with one right now, but things are a little wobbly. Yeah, this is a pretty fascinating position that can stem from the Queen's Gambit. Declined. I know I said that it's pretty passive usually, but here we are in the most insanely weird system that I think the Queen's Gambit decline can bring us. So that's very fun. Push the pawn forward there. He pushes that pawn. I'm gonna go ahead and double the rooks. I probably could have just played this move straight away to attack the pawn, but who's counting? I'm gonna go ahead and do this. If he brings his rook over here, that'll blunder checkmate in a couple of moves, so he cannot do that. So he goes there too. Okay. Go here. So we push this pawn, I take. Pretty fundamental. Ooh, he pushes that way though. Huh. Fascinating, sir. Let's go here. And if he tries to go here, I'm gonna go here. And now I'm threatening this. So he does take. He can also play here. But he doesn't. I'm gonna go ahead and take, because when he takes here... Oh, and now I can just play here. Alright, cool. I figured he would take here first. But now it's a free pawn. We're up 2 pieces of material. Nicely executed. Let's go here and try and start gobbling some pawns. And yeah, this is essentially where we will be getting with the Queen's Gambit in these 2 games. Nicely played from LG too. Shout out to my guy. LG's day one, homie. I could have gone here, honestly, to trade pieces. Ideally, you probably do want to just go ahead and do that, trade pieces and get material off the board, but yeah. Let's go here, and after he takes, I'm gonna go here. He goes there, I'm gonna go here. Yeah, and then we just start pushing these pawns on the E, F, G, and H files. Just start pushing P. How to win endgame? Push P. Big brain. Some of these moves might not even be correct, but here we are. Let's go here. Comes out, check. I'm just gonna go here. Ooh. Alright. So here, if he takes, I'm just gonna start pushing. Push. It's even funnier. Yeah, so just keep pushing. Come down. He's forced to move his rook back. Otherwise, I will be going here. So he goes there. He comes here. I'm just going to block. Collect the rook. And then we are going to mate with the queen. No, we are not. He's going to run out of time. Cool. Awesome. Alrighty. Well, GG's to my good homie LG. And guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, enjoyable, or all the above, if you learned something here today, please be sure to leave a like. Likes, comments, whatever it may be, significantly helps our channel boost our content out to more people as we continue to grow in the chess niche. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, I would greatly appreciate it. And also, we have a Discord server. The link to that is going to be in the description down below, and we host multiple weekly chess tournaments. We have daily checkmates, chess puzzles, chess classes, and a bunch of other awesome, cool stuff in a very tight-knit community that is on fire for the game that we are all so incredibly passionate for. If that sounds like something you would enjoy, please be sure to click that link and check it out. And also, guys, if you enjoyed this video, you might also enjoy this video. This video was very fun to make, and I think you'll find it very helpful and actually very enjoyable. So, for the last time, guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful, fantastic, and fantabulous rest of your day. Peace.